Oh, we got.
Okay, hi. Yeah, hi, Sydney. Um, we're going to do this edition of Take 10. A few notes before we begin. The session currently is being recorded. We encourage you to use the live chat function because Karen will help you there. All chats are monitored by Karen. Recordings will be uploaded to our YouTube channel within 24 to 48 hours. And after this session, you have to stay tuned for the last slide where I'll give you a word that you can email us to enter for the prize package. So this one is on Indigenous wellness, and I'm Barb, and moderator that's doing the chat is Karen Labocane, and I could not highlight her email address in the bottom. It just wouldn't let me. So those are our names.
That's okay.
You're just a Labocane though, not a K, right? Just Labocane,
Yeah,
Karen?
don't put a
Okay,
K on there. It won't go through.
all right, all right. So this week is Indigenous Wellness and Culture, and I'm going to talk a little bit about where we are today, a little bit about history. Culture. This is the definition of culture. It is the characteristics and knowledge of a particular group of people encompassing language, religion, cuisine, social habits, music, and arts. Traditions that are coming back currently for Indigenous people are sweat lodges, powwow dancing competitions, and language rejuvenation. We even have language rejuvenation at the college. We now have Cree classes. We're going to talk a little bit about the medicine wheel. The medicine wheel, the cyclical nature of life is used a lot in Aboriginal Indigenous culture. In the pandemic climate right now, we have to even be more aware of our overall health and wellness. Traditionally, the Indigenous people have followed the cyclical nature of life. They follow the seasons, um, they follow the directions. That's why this circle is round here that I have on the screen. The medicine wheel embodies the four directions, like I mentioned, the seasons, and celebrates the different races. As you notice, there's different colors on that medicine wheel. It's for the color of the races. It also represents the dimensions of health as well as the cycle of life, because everything starts as a baby, and then when we die, we go back and we start over again, apparently. I don't know. The cyclical nature of life was always respected traditionally. Natural law was respected by Indigenous people. Mother Earth was and still is highly respected as the giver of life. For mental health, we need to keep our life as balanced as we can. For physical health, we need to feed our body nutritious food and daily exercise. For emotional health, keep your family and friends circle strong, especially around this time. For spiritual health can be different things to different people. It's whatever works for you. You don't have to go to church. Whatever works for you spiritually. If you have your own going, that's fine. So a little bit of history. Indigenous people have had a dark past with the state being the government of Canada. Disease ran rampant and there was no immunity for the Indigenous people. The residential schools operated for over 166 years in Canada and were for assimilation purposes only. The last residential school was closed in Saskatchewan in 1996. The 60th scoop was another tragedy for the Indigenous people, where the welfare system came in, the state came in and scooped up the children and dispersed them to sometimes not even in the same province. Children were taken out of the province. They were shepherded off to even into the states. And now people are getting compensation for that 60 scoop. The Indigenous people were forced to abandon traditional and cultural practices. As well, language was lost during the process of residential schools. The atrocities of the state run residential schools, 60 Scoop had begun to break down the culture of the Indigenous people. That's why they've lost their culture, because of all these things that were interfered by the state. Today, the indigenous people have once again begun to embrace their culture. There are medicine sweat lodge and traditional knowledge keepers who have passed on their knowledge to the younger generations. There are powwows held proudly again with a lot of dancing. Mother Earth is our life giver, and indigenous children are taught to be respectful, humble, and kind. As well, they are spoken to at home in their traditional language. Um, Final words. The indigenous languages are being revived in schools and colleges. Like I mentioned earlier, the college has a Cree course now. Compensation has been given to those who suffered the residential school and 60 Scoop atrocities. The blanket exercise, if you've never done it, I would highly recommend it. It's a powerful history teaching tool. And I've taken it myself, and I heard I heard about it from other people, but when I took it myself, man, that exercise is powerful. So I hope you each get an opportunity to take that exercise. It's offered through friendship centers, I believe.
Can I chime in there for just a sec?
Go ahead.
The blanket exercise, it's evolving, like depending on where you take it. Like when they do it, they take into consideration their communities and what's happened in those specific communities. So it's even more powerful that way.
Oh, so they change the story as they go to different communities,
Yeah, it's just
right?
it's the
Yeah.
same basic story, but who was actually involved in it, I think.
Okay, that's nice. So if I were to take it again, it would be a different experience then, right?
Probably, depending on where you took it
Yeah,
and who was presenting.
right.
But it's
Good.
still very, I mean, like I said, it's even more powerful that way.
Awesome. Yeah, I really recommend that exercise for our students. Anyways, your NLC Wellness Swag Bag, you have the subject line there, Feather. Send us an email and you might win that nice bag. It's very beautiful. And as usual, we close with this last slide. You're not alone. We are here to help and we have our phone number on there. So thank you for coming. I'm going to stop the recording now.
Have a good week, Marshall. So, Sydney, thanks for joining us.
I actually had a question, if that was okay.